How you doing? Good. Good. So we are still talking about Elijah and Elisha. And this is an interesting passage here, 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 8 through 23. And a lot of you are familiar with this. I don't know if you'll realize it now, but you'll see that you're familiar with it here in a few. But and the thing that we generally concentrate on in this passage, I'm going to concentrate on something else, and we'll see what happens here. But this is not the road, and this is not the city. It's not the road, and this is not the city. Now, how many of you have had somebody in your life, maybe it was you, but you've had somebody in your life that you're acquainted with or you're related to or it's a friend of yours, and you've seen that they're not on a good path. Not on a good path. So not only are they not on the right road, but the destination they're heading for isn't going to deliver what they think it's going to deliver. You know what I mean? And I think all of us, let's just put it on us. By the way, what happened? Did somebody smell bad in the balcony? There's nobody up there. It's crazy. Usually that's where I look for my sustenance here when everything's going south. But anyway, this side you're doing great. This side, the important people showed up, so that's all that really matters. So that's good. I'm glad you're here. But all of us probably have found ourselves on that road before, right? I mean, if we're being honest, there's been a time in our life when we were thinking that this road that we were on was going to lead us to some sort of satisfaction, some sort of peace, some sort of finally finding happiness. But the truth is, we were not only on the wrong road, but we were going to the wrong destination, right? And so that's sort of, I think, what this passage is. It's something we can use for that. So let's get started here. So if you remember, the story we told before was about Naaman. Remember Naaman? And he was from Aram, and he was an Aramite, and he was the commander of the army of the king. So he was the king's right-hand man, right? Perfect. Yeah, and somebody gets it. And he had leprosy, and he comes, and Elisha sends a servant out and heals him. And then you had the story of Gehazi. But remember, Naaman comes up and he says, I pledge my allegiance to God, basically, right? And please forgive me because I'm going to have to go into this false temple with the king because I'm his right-hand man. And he said, go in peace. And then this is the next time we see these guys. So, but we'll see Elisha strikes again. This guy's wild. I like him. Says, now the king of Aram was at war with Israel. So again, as we saw before, Naaman's servant in his house was a girl that they got from raiding the Israelites and stealing this girl from her family and bringing her in. And they would do these raids against the Israelites. And so now they're at war with Israel, again, constant enemies. After conferring with his officers, presumably of which one is Naaman, right? I mean, it's not that long after, still within the lifespan of Elisha. After conferring with his officers, he said, I will set up my camp in such and such a place. The man of God, Elisha, sent word to the king of Israel, beware of passing that place because the Arameans are going down there. So Elisha just says, hey, don't go down there because they're going to down there trying to set a trap, so don't go that direction. So he doesn't, right? Everybody tracking so far? So the king of Israel checked on the place indicated by the man of God. Time and again, Elisha warned the king so that he was on his guard in such places. So that the king of Aram could not catch the king of Israel. He couldn't get him because every time he had a plan, somehow the king of Israel found out about it. That's what's happening right here, okay? And then we see an enraged king, right? That'd kind of make you mad. So the enraged king of Aram, this enraged the king of Aram. He summoned his officers and demanded of them, tell me which of us is on the side of the king of Israel, right? That's a fair question. Who's the mole? Who's the spy? Whose head do I need to chop off right now? I doubt there are a lot of volunteers for this. But who is it? Tell me, which of us is on the side of the king of Israel? And I love this response. I can imagine it's Naaman, actually. None of us, my lord the king, said one of his officers. But Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. Like, I'm telling you, this guy knows exactly what's going on. And I can imagine Naaman knowing this because Naaman had his experience with him. But that's such an insightful thing, right? Like, and again, God chose to speak through these prophets. And if you think about it and extrapolate that out to us today, it goes to show us that God not just sees what happens in our lives, but is interested in what happens in our lives and is in relationship with us in our lives, right? He knows exactly what you do in your bedroom. That's a little creepy, but he knows. He knows what you do. That was a little weird. So I'll put it this way. He knows what you do in the secret spaces of your mind and in your activity and all these things. We can't hide from God, in other words, right? Can't hide from God. In other words, sometimes you should try it sometimes. Sometimes that happens. So anyway, but he said, listen, Elisha, he knows, this guy, he knows everything. And whatever you're saying, the king of Israel is going to know it. And as long as he's here, you're not going to win this battle. So the idea is go find out where he is, the king ordered. I don't think he understood exactly what was going on here. But go find out where he is so I can send men and capture him. Again, it sounds kind of funny if every time he knows where you're going to be and can avoid capture, how are you going to capture him? But at any rate, he tries it. The report came back. He is in Dothan. Now, Dothan, if you're familiar, can anybody name the other thing that happened in Dothan? Just curious. Anything? It's where Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. I didn't know that till today, but I thought that was interesting. That's the only other time that Dothan is mentioned. But the report came back. He's in Samaria. He's in the city of Dothan. And so he sent horses and chariots and a strong force there. They went by night and surrounded the city. So they got him, right? Elisha's in the city. They surround the city. This army surrounds the city. There's no getting out. It's not a big city. And they're in for a big surprise when they wake up in the morning. Well, you would think he was in for a big surprise when he wakes up in the morning. But then we see this. Opened to see, closed to see. There's an interesting contrast here in this passage. There's an interesting contrast of eyes being opened and eyes being shut. But both are to help the people see. Okay? It's just something to think about as we work through this. And we're not going to work through it long, I don't think. I always say that, don't I? But open to see, closed to see. So they wake up in the morning. When the servant of the man of God got up, went out early in the morning, has coffee, just chilling on the lanai as one would in this part of the world, he notices an army of horses and chariots had surrounded the city. That's not good. That's not good, right? And he says, "Oh no, my Lord, what shall we do?" The servant asks. It's a great question. Under normal circumstances, there's really nothing you can do. I had somebody one time ask me, it's one of the most unique questions. It was during COVID. It was a crazy time. People were crazy. I was probably crazy. I wasn't probably crazy. I about went crazy. A lot of crazy stuff happened in that time. But I had somebody ask me the strangest question that I ever got asked, and it was this: at what point do we take up arms against the federal government? I said, you do what you want to do, but that time's never going to come for me. Have you seen the federal government? Do you know what they have? I know you might have an AR or something fun, a bunch of ammo. I know you probably have that on your, compound or whatever, but good luck. Good luck with that drone or whatever that can just, I'm like, you can do what you want, but I kind of get this vibe from this. Like, what are we going to do? Not much. Not much. There's an entire army surrounding you. There's not much you can do about that. And sometimes we face what seems like insurmountable odds, don't we? And it doesn't have to seem like that big a deal to other people to be a massive deal to you and to feel hopeless and helpless. And sometimes that place happens in your own head. Sometimes it's just your own brain kind of working against you. Sometimes it's circumstances that come and surround you and there are things and sometimes things happen and it doesn't seem like there's ever going to be an end to it. There's no hope for it. There's no end date on it. Sometimes if we were in a circumstance and we could see if I could just make it to March of 2027, I'll be out of this. And so you can kind of endure. But sometimes you don't have that, and you have no idea what this path is like, and it feels pretty hard. It feels like you're surrounded. Sometimes we end up with illness, like maybe a chronic illness that isn't necessarily fatal at the particular time, but it's debilitating, it's damaging, it's difficult, it's hard to deal with. People don't understand it, and you feel trapped. You feel surrounded. It can be relationship issues. It can be job issues. It can seem like maybe your career is just not going where you thought it would go, and you don't know how to get out of it. Maybe you're too old to restart. Maybe you can only talk for a living, and that's the only choice you have. I don't know. Whatever it may be, and you might be in this situation where you just don't know what to do. You're stuck. You're surrounded. It seems hopeless, helpless. And whatever that may be, maybe you used to be active and due to circumstances you can't be active anymore. Maybe it's this or that. I don't know what it is. But I bet you do. I bet you do. And if you aren't in the middle of that, I bet you know someone who is. I bet you know someone who is. They were trapped. They were surrounded. Oh no, my Lord, what shall we do? That's been a prayer that a lot of us have cried out. It's been a prayer a lot of us have cried out. Oh no, my Lord, what shall we do? It's interesting here. This is the hope. This is the hope. And I don't mean hope like some kind of crossing your fingers, rubbing the lucky rabbit's foot, and all that kind of hope. This is the kind of hope that's built on a foundation. This is the hope that God gives us, that it's an expectancy of who we are and that we're loved by God Almighty. And this is the response from that hope, and I love this. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Sometimes that is impossible to even get your head wrapped around, right? Sometimes that doesn't seem right. Sometimes it feels like them, whoever them is, are winning. Sometimes it feels like the thing that has me trapped, the thing that dark cloud, that difficulty, that thing, whatever it is, seems like it's winning. But it's not. It's not. Unfortunately for us, our eyes are closed to it, right? We can't see it. I told you she was going to wake up. She knows good preaching when she hears it, right? So you're. It's hard to see, and maybe for some of you today, right where you're at, and I know some of the circumstances, and I know some of the circumstances in here aren't just hard; they're impossible. I know that. I know that. But what I'm telling you is truth. And not because I'm making it up or I just want something to be good. Scripture is full of this truth, this hope. This temporal place isn't all we have. This temporal place that where we see life and we see death on a timeline. And we see all of that wrapped up. And you go to a cemetery and you see 2 numbers on a granite stone. And there's a little dash in the middle of those numbers. And that's our whole lifeline right there. That little dash. That's not it. You see, this temporal, somehow, some way, is going to be merged with the eternal. And this earth that is broken, that's longing for redemption, somehow, some way, is going to be set right in the new heavens and the new earth. And there is more for us than there is against us. Right? Check out what he says. I love this. And Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Man, how many of us need that prayer today? Open our eyes, Lord, so we can see. Open my eyes, Lord, that I can see. It is so easy to have a short view of everything and only get stuck in what we can see and what we can feel and what we can experience. And that's very natural. But man, God is up to something amazing. And if you're in the middle of this storm, if you're in the middle of this place, if you're caught up in all of this, this is a good prayer. God, open my eyes so that I might see. And check out what happens. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. When he could see, when that veil was lifted, whatever that veil is, it separates heaven and earth. That's thin at times, right? And we do get glimpses. We do get these beautiful glimpses of the eternal. We get these beautiful glimpses of things being set right. And man, Joy and I went camping. I know that's hard to believe. But we had to come back a day early for, again, reasons kind of outside of our wishes. But we had to come back a day early. And so we were there for one day. That's a lot of work for one night. And but that one night was awesome. We're sitting by the campfire, and they let us have a campfire, I think. I didn't see signs to the contrary. So we were out in the middle of nowhere. Nothing burnt down. It was fine. So we have a campfire, and we're sitting there, and we're just enjoying being. You ever just enjoy being? You know that feeling where you're just like you feel like you weigh a ton because it's just like the cares are kind of lifted, and you just relax to the point that you feel like twice as heavy as normal. Right? And you're just in that easy chair. And man, we had a nice beverage and we were sitting by the fire. We were enjoying just being together and talking about whatever. And some of you people, it was great. And we're sitting there and we hear something on the other side. And it's just getting to where it's dark, right? And we look over and we hear this little kind of bleating sound, like just a little cry. And it was a mama deer and a baby deer, right? It was cute, yeah. We ate so good that night. No, okay. That tender baby deer, oh man, that's delicious. The more spots, the more delicious, I always say. But no, I'm kidding. That would fly in West Virginia. I don't think it'd fly in Oregon, but. So, at any rate, that's not what happened. I don't do that anyway. I'm not a hunter. I like to enjoy the benefits of other people hunting, but I don't do it. So, anyway, we're watching. They're on the other side of the creek. And all of a sudden, we hear a splash. And they pop out on our side. And they get from probably me to Bud from us. And we're just sitting there. We're not trying to be quiet. We're just sitting there. And they come up, and it's like they joined us at the campfire. And they were just eating around while we were talking, and they were just there. And you get this little glimpse of the lion and the lamb. You get this little glimpse of peace, of ultimate peace, where nature is like, hey, Let's hang out, nice fire, and we were just there together with these two animals that could probably kick our eyes out if they so chose. And they're just here and they're milling around and they're eating, and once in a while they would look up at us and we would look at them and they'd walk back around, and it was a glimpse. It was a glimpse. It felt good. It felt right, Lord, open our eyes so that even in the midst of trouble, we can see the good shepherd in what he's doing. Lord, open the servant's eyes. The hills are surrounded by chariots of fire and horses all around Elisha. That was eyes being opened to see. Now we see eyes being closed to see. So check this out. As the enemy came down toward him, Elisha prayed to the Lord. Almost the exact opposite prayer that he had just prayed for the servant. Right? Strike this army with blindness. So he struck them with blindness as Elisha had asked. Well, that's pretty interesting. An entire army just gets blind because Elisha's like, God, why don't you do this? That's in tune right there, right? That's in tune with the Spirit right there. He struck him with blindness as Elisha had asked. So this army's blind. And then we see this. This is not the road. This is not the city. Now, this is an important, I think, this could be something for us to dwell on. This could be something for us to meditate on. This could be something for us to steep in as we look at the world around us, as we see those in our lives, or maybe just adjacent to us who are on the wrong road, headed toward the wrong city. They're not only on the wrong path, the destination they're going isn't going to be good. Isn't going to be good. It's not the road, this is not the city. Elisha told them, this is not the road and this is not the city. I think we've probably said that enough now. But one more time, Elisha told them, this is not the road, this is not the city. But then he says this. So they're on the wrong path. And that part's easy for us. That part's easy. Hey, hey, dummy. Duh. You're on the wrong path. The destination you're headed to isn't good. Isn't good. How it seems obvious to me. And we see it all the time. You see people that man, it's like the way they, and I don't want to rip on, like, it's not a style thing or it's not an anything else. Because I heaven knows I'm not the most stylish thing. But it's not that. But there are people that just their entire mannerisms, everything's built around anger. And everything's built around anti. And everything's built around counter norms. And you look at that and you're like, not only are you not on the right path, the end of that is destruction. The end of it is destruction. If we all lived out what you want us all to live out, or you think we'd all live out, humanity would cease to exist in 2 generations. It's the end is destruction. It's absolute anarchy. It's it's a mess. And you see people that these, and it's so easy to stereotype everybody and to do this or that. But man, a friend of mine was just in Seattle. And he walked outside. And when he walked outside, he found himself in a different world. I don't know where he was in Seattle. I know there's good parts and bad parts. This isn't trying to characterize the whole city, but wherever he walked out, people were what they call nodding out, right? They were leaned over, just standing there, bent over, breathing, but just zombified because of fentanyl, heroin, and whatever else. He said it was an army of people. And he said this was an interesting contrast because in the background, there was a guy on a bullhorn. And all these people just nodding off, not conscious at all in any kind of discernible way. He said one guy was actually ODing and people were attending to him. But the other ones were just leaned over, and you've seen this on TV, and it's so sad. And my first response, honestly, is like, ick. But you know what his was? That's somebody's sister. That's somebody's brother. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's son. That's somebody's maybe father. Somebody's mother. And for whatever reason, circumstances, life, they were on this road they thought was going to bring them something, and the end is just destruction. They're not on the right road. They're certainly not headed to the right city. And there's a guy in the back, to whatever you want to think, he's on a bullhorn, and he's preaching, telling these people to repent. They're going to hell. They're on the wrong path. It's destruction and all this stuff. He said it was such an interesting contrast. And he really didn't know what to do with it. We kind of processed it together. But we all know people that are in these situations, and it might not be that. Maybe it's relationally. Have you ever known somebody that got in a relationship and you're like, no, whoa, don't do it. I can see the end of this, and it ain't good. Not only is this path bad, the city's going to be awful. We all know people like this, and it's easy enough for us to say, get off the path, don't be an idiot, that's obviously dumb, don't do that, and shout from our bullhorns about how awful their circumstances are. And I'm guessing they probably get how awful their circumstances are. Elisha told him, this is not the road, this is not the city. Follow me. Here's the hard part. Here's the hard part. It's easy enough to see somebody who's on the wrong path, headed to the wrong city. Look what Elisha does. Follow me, and I will lead you to the man you're looking for. That's the hard part. When we see somebody that's on the wrong path, how many of us would be willing to not just tell them they're on the wrong path and just, I did my duty, but to actually be bold enough to say, listen, I think that the path you're on is not good. The city you're headed to is no good at all. But if you follow me, I can lead you to the one you're really looking for. You think this path right here is going to lead to some sort of satisfaction, some sort of peace, some sort of joy, some sort of other world where you can forget all your troubles and get away, and it's just going to lead to destruction. That's terrible. You shouldn't be on that path. But if you follow me, and that requires the hard work of relationship. It's not easy. Relationship's risky, isn't it? Relationship's risky. Especially relationship with people that tend to regress before they get better. And you invest a lot of time and energy into somebody, and all of a sudden, the next day you find out they've jumped all the way back to the starting point. Right? You're like, okay, come on, here we go again. And it can be exhausting. And you hear stories about it all the time. But look what he said, because what we have is the actual answer. We have the actual answer. Jesus is all the things they're searching for. Jesus is all the stuff they're hoping to find. He'll give you the community that you need. He'll give you the love and grace and mercy that you need. He'll give you all the sustenance that you need. And eventually, he'll wipe away every tear. And we'll be with him forever in the new heavens and the new earth as everything is made right. So Elisha says, look, you're on the wrong path, but follow me, and I'll lead you to what you really want. I'll lead you to who you really want. That's what he said. I'll lead you to the man you're looking for. They thought they were looking for Elisha. Elisha was going to lead them to God. And he led them to Samaria. After they entered the city, Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men so they can see. So open them back up. Then the Lord opened their eyes, and they looked, and they were inside Samaria. So now they're not surrounding the city. They're surrounded by the city. Role reversal. And the king of Israel saw them, and he asked Elijah, shall I kill them? It seems like a really good opportunity to kill them. They're super annoying. Shall I kill them, my father? Shall I kill them? And this is God. Remember, God is speaking through Elisha. I love this. Look what he does. Shall I kill him? Shall I kill him? Elisha says, do not kill them. Would you kill those you have captured with your own sword or bow? Set food and water before them so that they may eat and drink and then go back to their master. Let's show them a different way and then turn them loose. Let's show them kindness. Let's show them grace. Let's show them what it is to be different. And then let's send them back. And I love what they do here. So he didn't just give them food and water. He prepared a great feast for them. Now it's interesting. These were the bad guys, right? All of us would agree in this story, these are the bad guys. But isn't it interesting that the good shepherd, even with who we would call the bad guys, prepared a table in the midst of their enemies? Isn't that wild? The good shepherd is good, not to just those that we think are the good guys, but to all people. He prepared a great feast for them, and after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away, and they returned to their master. Say, well, that's great. Now they can just come back and do it again. But the result of this act of kindness, the result of this follow me, I will show you a different way. I will show you the way, the truth, and the life. This introduction to the Father, this introduction to God the Creator through this act of kindness and this act of mercy, look at the result. So the bands from Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. That act of, call it countercultural kindness, not retribution, but giving and introducing to the way of the Father, showing them not just this destructive way of just going in and raiding and then having them raid back and this cycle, but showing them a different way, showing them God, introducing them to the one who would actually take them to the city that they want to be at, the right city. Brought peace. Brought peace. So the bands from Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. So that got me thinking, and I'll think quick. How do we really make a difference when it feels like we're surrounded by people who don't have our best interest in mind? It's interesting, isn't it? Because it seems like when people get a glimpse of this, it changes them. There's a guy, I'll close with this. There's an African-American guy, black guy. I don't know, he's but he's both. Tiffany, what would you prefer? Black, perfect. Black guy. Down south. Have you ever been down south? Anybody? Down south is a different kettle of fish. KKK is actually a thing. Like a real thing. Still. And this guy, black dude, started contacting these KKK members individually and asked them to dinner. I'd love to pay for your dinner. Love to get to know you, see what makes you tick, and just ask a few questions if you would. And as these people took him up on this offer, he would have dinner with them. And he would sit down and show genuine interest in them, get to know them, And as of today, he's got a closet full, a walk-in closet full of KKK robes from people who have renounced their affiliation with the KKK because of the kindness of him. That makes a difference. That truly changes people. That takes them off that path that leads to that city that is full of despair, destruction, dysfunction, and puts them on the path that shows them the Father, and it makes all the difference in the world. Now, today we're going to have communion, and this is just something to think about. I'm not going to give you any brilliant answers about anything, but just thinking, just in our sphere of influence, when we see those people that are on that wrong path that's leading to a bad place, maybe instead of shouting at them, maybe we walk with them. Maybe we show an interest in them. Or something like that, so that we can introduce them to the one who is not on the wrong path, he is the way, the truth, the life, right? So that they can go to the city that they really want to be at and that they're really searching for. So what we're going to do is communion. I think they looks like they're stacked back. Is that correct? So they're stacked, so there's a piece of bread in the bottom. There's 2 cups put together. So if you guys could all we're going to do something special today, and they're going to play a hymn, an older hymn, and some of you may know it, some of you may not, and they're going to play that while we're getting our stuff. And then at the end of communion, when Jesus gave his disciples communion, he said they went out and they sung a hymn. And so we're going to sing that hymn together after we're done. But as we're getting the communion, we're thinking about the shed blood and the broken body of Jesus that he gave to us to set us on the right path toward the right city. Maybe let's think about our lives, those in our lives, the people in our lives. And what can we do for them? How can we serve them so that they can maybe get off of their path leading to destruction and see the path that leads to the city they're really aiming for, that really satisfies their soul?